Hello and welcome everybody back to the Inside Our Galaxy podcast. I'm your host, Eric Hernandez. As always, we got to talk about our disappointing road trip against the Columbus Crew and against the DC United. 5 goals within total between the both away games, and we got 0. So, yeah, we ended up losing 2-0 against Columbus and 3-0 against DC United. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about our thoughts, our overall disappointment, because really, is there anything to talk about positive? Not really. So we're going to talk about just, the whole negative and everything about those 2 games. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just a big disappointment, and this is going to be, I honestly, I really don't know how much we can take it. But anyways, we're here to talk about it and to give you our thoughts about it. So I guess we're going to talk about those disappointing games. And also we got to talk about our upcoming game against LAFC in the US Open Cup. That's going to happen on Tuesday and at the BMO Stadium. I forget, they're not called the Bank anymore, at BMO Stadium. So we're going to talk about that, preview about that. And yeah, I mean, it should be a good conversation, I guess, overall. But we're here. And with me, as always, is my co-host, LA Galaxy Central. How you doing, man?
Things could be better, I guess, but overall, I'm doing all right.
I mean, yeah, it's whatever's, I guess. I
Yes.
will say, new background, new, I guess, format of my camera. I guess I did end up getting like a new PC and stuff like that, and then I guess just better quality of the camera. That's the only positive about this show today, is the new angle, the new, I guess, quality of my camera. But
Fair enough.
yeah, I mean, I guess that's the only positive, really. But overall, I mean, I guess this whole week, not so good. Like I said in the beginning
No.
of the episode. So I guess we'll talk about Columbus first, and we kind of already talked about this like between each other, but let's just kind of talk about it again. So Columbus 2-0. We end up going with a very heavy rotated lineup, 6 changes in the lineup for that game. And we end up losing 2-0. Then we get 2 goals scored in the first half, and after that, nothing else happened. But of course, we lose 2-0 against Columbus. And I mean, give me your thoughts about that, man. How'd you feel about that one?
Yeah, that was very disappointing because coming off a rivalry win against San Jose, we also beat Seattle in that 2 game span. We had a pretty good last week. And going into that game, I knew Columbus was a very tough opponent. It was going to be a tough game, but Greg Vanney didn't even give us a chance to run back the same lineup. And like we were hoping, like we're bottom of the table right now, like maybe that week would have been kind of a spark going into this mini road trip, but it wasn't at all. Vanny like rotated a lot of players. He put his nephew at captain, which obviously a lot of people didn't like for good reason. And it just feels like he didn't really give us a chance. And obviously the product on the field did not look that great as expected. So that was pretty disappointing to see that we really didn't give ourselves another chance to try to build some momentum. And that's what we've been lacking all season. We have like one good result and then like 5, 6 bad games. And it's just very disappointing that Vanny didn't give this team more of a chance and run back the same lineup like we did against San Jose.
Yeah, I mean, I expected rotation in this game. Like it was bound to happen, to have some rotation, to have some changes in the lineup. But 6 players was surprising to me, because I expected 3, maybe even 4 max. But we ended up doing 6, and that ended up just kind of being the whole, like, I guess, conversation about it, because it's just like, why did we go so heavy on the rotation? It's not like we're in a good position where we can really like heavily rotate it. I get it. We were going to rotate it regardless because of the amount of games we have, but to heavily rotate it that much was just, that was a really interesting call. And obviously we saw what the result was that week. And, the result speaks for itself. It didn't really work. And it honestly messed up the flow of the team and how they performed. And yeah, I mean, there was a lot of interesting changes, a lot of interesting decisions that happened in that game. Of course, Davaleta was captain, which a lot of people did not like. Um, I that was just interesting. Of course, everyone's gonna say, "Oh, he's the nephew," the privileged guy who gets to be captain.
He
I
is.
mean, I mean, realistic. We don't know how good of a leader he is, I guess. But we talked about this the other day, and you even said, like, I know it's not being a captain, not is not always being either just a good player or a good leader. It's kind of a mixture of both. You kind of have to be like, set the example as the team of like, hey, I'm one of the top, or one of the good players on this team, but I'm also a very good leader, right? And I don't know how good Zavaleta's leadership skills are. They're probably good to the point where he can be captain, but obviously we know how he is on the field. He's not that good of a player. So to have that guy to be the one to lead your team is kind of like, I don't know, that was just not a good call. And you could have put like Bond as the captain or anybody else really. I mean, you could have maybe put Ricky as captain. I don't think he would have been captain, but like even you could put him or just anybody else. Really, nobody really thought that Zavaleta could have been the captain. But again, uh, that just wasn't the case, I guess. But yeah, a lot of rotation in this game that I just felt like was sort of unnecessary in a sense. Like we didn't need that much rotation in this game. We needed to at least get some sort of result, even if it was a tie. We even said if we got a tie in this game, that's fine. We got to get some points somehow, and getting those points on the road, is not easy. But if we get some of them, if we try to get anything out of it, that's the good part about it. But yeah, I mean that was just an absolute. Yeah, I mean the game was just boring in general. I even told you this too. Like I didn't feel like it was that entertaining. And there was one point where I actually slept, which is very rare in a game that I sleep. And, like that's kind of like the point of that game. It was like, wow, it's like we really didn't do much and we still got nothing out of it. So, I guess that's just the most disappointing part about it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like going back to the captain point, the thing I want in a captain is I want the captain to be obviously a really good leader, but they also have to be a good player. Like maybe Zavaleta has some MLS experience. He's done some things in this league, but like your captain can't be your worst player. Like your captain is supposed to set an example. And Zavaleta, we can go back to one moment in the game where he had both hands on Cucho Hernandez. They just ran around in a circle on him. And I mean, Cucho plays it through to Zella Ryan. I mean, that is all Zavaleta. And is that captain material? Absolutely not. So, I mean, maybe he has good leadership skills, but the captain can't be like the worst player on your team at the same time.
Right. I understand that. Right. And yeah, that goal against Cucho was like, yeah, man, if you're gonna grab him, at least take him down. Like, like what was the point of try to hug him and then you just kind of let him go?
Completely lets
Um,
him go.
and obviously, he lets him go, and what happens? He gets cooked. Jalen Neal gets cooked but against El Rayan in that play. So it's like, at the end of the day, that kind of fucked us over. But you know what? That I also thought about it too, like kind of like this whole leadership type of deal. Um, you know what I feel like the Galaxy kind of need in these times? They need like what Sasha Kleshin was last year, or they need a Victor Vasquez, for example. Like those guys, the past couple years were like sort of like they weren't necessarily the best players. They were obviously out of their prime. They were a lot older, but they were the wise guys in the locker room. They were the guys who kind of kept the team together in times like this. And I feel like for the Galaxy, they don't really have that. They don't really have that Sasha Kleshin. They don't have that Victor Vasquez who is like, the guy to keep everybody together. And you can say there's some MLS experienced guys on here and some guys who have like the pedigree, I guess. But at the end of the day, there was nobody who really stood out to be that leader, that guy who kind of held everything together. We don't really have that on this team, and that's kind of a shame. And something that I've been thinking about recently. It's like we need that guy. We need that guy who's going to hold everybody accountable and also keep everybody together. I think that's another important piece that we need so far in this Galaxy team. To be honest.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, the leadership on this team is just really bad. You can tell when like mistakes happen, everyone's head goes down, nobody picks them up. They just keep making the same mistakes over and over. And yeah, we really desperately need a leader, but I don't think that's really coming this season.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't see anybody being like that. But even then, like for this game and for this Columbus game, there was also some chances that we had in this game where it's like, man, like how did you miss that? Like Daniel Aguirre had one where it was like, man, dude, like I root for you, and I know you're like kind of getting more minutes than you normally have, but you can't I guess waste those chances. Like you have to like just do it. Just let it rip, man. Like that was one of those things where um that we've seen that I guess like people are kind of afraid in a sense like to take their chances, and they're not doing what they need to be doing in a sense. And that's another thing. This team is sort of scared and it's sort of like kind of holding themselves back. It's like, listen, like you guys are at rock bottom at this point. Try anything you can to try to like get anything, and you're just not. You're kind of afraid to do some stuff. Like there were some chances in this game where you had that, and you know that's you guys had to take those chances. That's another thing I want to say about that game too.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. But no, I mean, honestly, Columbus was just I don't know. Like it was real. Like I said, it was kind of boring. It wasn't really much that we did, and you know, I don't know. I guess that one was just kind of whatever's. I guess let's kind of transition into the
Well, I have
to
one
the
more
United
thing
game.
for the
Oh,
Columbus game.
go
I
ahead.
mean, starter Dayon, what a disaster, man. I mean, like 13% win percentage in like 20 plus games with Dan Jovic as a star. I mean, that is dreadful. You can't even run from that. That is terrible. Like I can't even explain why it's this way. It's just this way. I mean, he started that game. Obviously, it's horrible. We can't get anything with him up top. Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's with that situation either, because it's like I kind of mentioned it, like I think like early on in the season when Dejan was the starter. Um, I kind of said that like maybe he's just like mentality is just not there when he's a starter rather than when he's on the bench, because in the bench he has more of this chip on his shoulder type of mentality, and then once he gets the start, it's like, oh, like I don't know if he's kind of like, oh, like what do I do from here on out? It's like I already got the spot, like I guess I try what I can, and even then you just can't get it. And
It's easy.
that 13 win percentage is real. Like that's a real thing. People don't see that, and like you kind of have to. You have to see that Dejan as a starter is just not as effective.
It is because like I think our record with him is like 3 wins, 15 losses, and like 3 ties. I mean that's horrible. You look at the players around him, like some of the guys in the lineup, like sure we're pretty bad this season, but overall they don't have a 13% win percentage. It's like he's the only factor in that lineup that has that win percentage. So you can't really just say, oh, it's the lineup. Like no, it really is him and his effectiveness as a starter, and the offense just isn't there at all. We're getting shut out every single game with him starting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just don't. That's really interesting because it's just like what is the factor of that? Why isn't he being this effective person? And it's not like it's just this season and this lineup. It's like this has been a thing since I guess you can say since he's come here. It's like even last year when he was he had those few chances as a starter. It's like you're not getting the results as him, and that's a serious question to I guess to ask ourselves is just like, why isn't this working? And what does this mean in the future, right? What does this mean for him? And, I still think he's a great player. I still think he's great when he comes off the bench and, has his moments, but, you know, it's worrying to see those statistics as a starter. And yeah, I guess that was another, like, I guess focal point of this game was just that, Dejan's just not as effective as a starter. And, I guess in those situations where if we don't have Chicharito or if we don't have, another, I guess forward, like, we're just not going to get those results, or it's going to be hard to get those results with him when he's starting.
I mean, yeah, it really puts the pressure on an out of shape, like what, 34, 35-year-old Chicharito to start like this amount of games. And he's been horrible too. So it's like we really just have zero attack. And when you look on the wings, there's like no wingers. It looks terrible. Our attack looks awful. This is the worst Galaxy attack I've ever seen in my time being a fan.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with that. It's like this is probably one of the worst that I've seen in like.
Well, the worst teams actually, not just attack, the worst team I've seen in my time being a fan.
Oh no, yeah, yeah, for sure. I think so too. I mean, a lot of people compare this to the 2017 team, but honestly, like,
This is worse.
yeah, this is worse. This is
Because
much worse.
the 2017 team was just a rebuilding team. Obviously, that was the year Keane and Donovan left. They left in the 2016 offseason. So this 2017 team was a rebuilding team. They had a lot of academy kids like Bradford Jameson, like Diallo. I mean, it was a young team. The kids tried. They just overall weren't ready, but they put in some effort sometimes. This team is just outright pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. Which, speaking of pathetic, let's talk about
Oh
you know,
boy.
let's talk about the DC United game, because boy, was that more of a pathetic performance that I have seen. Um, not only did this team lose, they didn't even lose the game. They didn't lose in a half. They lost in a span of 9 minutes. Like that is insane to me that a team manages to score on you on less than 10 minutes. 3 goals in less than 10 minutes. Like that is just that's just wow. Like I'm lost for words. Like that's just something that like it's rarely seen, and you don't want to see that at all. And yeah, that was terrible. That was more of a pathetic performance than Columbus for sure, because this one you had your starters, you had your players, and nobody stepped up and nobody performed to really be that difference maker. And so many mistakes that we've seen so far this season, and that was just again, another absolute shit show. But yeah, what were your thoughts on that one against DC United?
I mean, bro, on Saturday, this coming Saturday, I don't know if Vanny is on the sidelines. I don't know. I don't think he might. I think he might not be on the sidelines. I think he might get fired this week. I really believe that. I think he might be done.
The fact that nobody's fired in general after that game is beyond me.
No, I think Vanny actually might get fired this week. Like, obviously, I have no sources. This is just speculation for me, but I have a feeling Vanny might be fired this week. I really believe that.
I will say I am tired of defending him. It's
Yeah.
time. It's time. Like I said this right after the game. It's kind of hard to defend somebody like that because it's like anybody in the world at this point or any coach would have been fired after that, you know. And the fact that there is still some sort of leverage for Vanny, um, I don't understand how there is one. It's like it really is come to the point where it's like, yeah, like if you're gonna have to be let go at some point. And I understand people's point. It's like, well, getting a new coach isn't gonna help, or
Well,
why are we gonna trust Klein and getting another coach because obviously that's worked out so well. Um, like at this point, but at the same time, it's like there is some accountability, and yeah, I honestly don't see him being on the sideline soon either. So it's like I don't. Yeah, I'm tired of it. I
I mean,
really am.
it's disappointing because I don't think this is all Vanny's fault. Obviously, this Galaxy organization is a complete fucking disaster. They've had so many coaches, some high caliber coaches too. All of them have just crumbled under this organization. But it just feels like for Vanny, this is not sustainable anymore. I mean, his time's just running up. He has no more solutions. I mean, I think he's at kind of the breaking point for himself. And as an MLS fan, I would love to see Vanny go back to Toronto because obviously when Vanny was managing Toronto, they had a lot of really good teams, had a lot of success. And now Toronto, since Vanny has left, has been a complete disaster. So maybe Vanny and Toronto would be a complete match for each other once again. But for Vanny, I think he's going to be one of those coaches that just crumbles under the organization because, I mean, he can't keep doing this. I think he's failed. He failed as a GM. His tactics are failing, and we're doing the same thing every week. And I think his time is done. I think they're going to let him go probably. And honestly, I think it's time. Like, I've seen enough at this point.
Again, it's just like after those type of results, like
Every
why
week
should
too.
he be here?
Like so many times. This is not just like a one, two time. This is like the seventh, eighth time this has happened.
Right. And like I said, I compared this to the COVID season with GBS, right? That it's the same thing. No plan,
It's
same thing
worse.
every week.
I think it's worse.
It's both. I think it's both of them are kind of equal in my opinion. Maybe GBS has the I guess the excuse of saying, "Oh, it's COVID year." Or whatever, maybe you can give them that excuse, but I think it's very close for both of them. But it's very similar though, regardless that both didn't have a plan, both kept pushing the same thing, and there was just no accountability whatsoever. And I really do think that you know he's going to be gone, and it sucks because, like I said, I really do think that Vanny's a good coach. He's a respected coach for what he has done, and you're right. I think it is also the fact that it's the organization getting to him, and it's really all that pressure being put on him. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he does go somewhere else and he has much better success, right? Um, because we've seen that with players, we've seen that with other I guess staff as well. But yeah, I mean, but regardless, I think it's time. It really is. Like there's just no other way around it. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because I think going up against LAFC and if we lose, that's going to be the drawing point, and that's going to be where it goes down. I really do.
Yeah. As for the performance though, like I mean, it was fucking pathetic. Like, all right, fair enough against Columbus. Like, we rotated some starters. We didn't have our full lineup. It was a Wednesday game. Columbus is a pretty good team. They have a lot of really good pieces. Like, fair enough. I guess that we lose that game a little disappointing considering we just won a rivalry game, but like, not the end of the world. But DC, like, bro, that was winnable. Like, DC wasn't that good. I mean, I don't know how to say it. We made them look better. Like, we made a below average team look great in a span of 9 minutes. DC was not that good a majority of the game. We could have definitely got a point from that.
No, yeah, I I think there was things that the Galaxy did great in that game. It was just the fact of those 9 minutes of just going just down rapid downhill is what really
The lack of leadership, you can really see it.
yeah, like you really can. And because I feel like we really held Benteke a lot in that game. I think that we minimized his production for most of the game, but then once that that error that Bond did, or multiple errors that he really did in that game, that's where it really just crumbled. And right, and this goes back to the being the leadership, right? That we don't have that Sasha Kleshin, we don't have that Victor Vasquez, or maybe even like just somebody to hold the team together. We don't have that, even if it's on the bench or on the field. We don't have anybody that really does that on this team, and that's, I think, the lacking part of it. And again, it's just a matter of this team holding their heads high, and they can't, because nobody's telling them like, hey, we got this, we still have time, we can get this going. And everybody, once that one goal goes in, everybody's done. And that's just pathetic to me as well. Like, you can't be a team where it's just like, yeah, we're done, you know, because they scored one goal on us. It's like, no, like, go ahead and fight for the win, fight for your team. Even if you lose, but you give a good fight, that's completely acceptable. I get it. But if you're gonna lose the way you did, and not, even try, or not even attempt to make a comeback, then that's just, that's sorry. Like, that's like, as a professional, if you're a professional athlete or an amateur athlete or whatever type of level you're at, that's bad, dude. Like, that's really, really bad to see.
Yeah, man, it really is. I mean, when you look at this attack fucking sucks. Like, Chicharito looks like complete shit. I know he's your favorite player, but bro looks fat, out of shape, no leadership, just like a Gordo, bro. He looks terrible. Memo Rodriguez starting again. Like, are you kidding me, dude? This guy is fucking trash. Like, why is this guy starting? Like, we've said so many times, Memo Rodriguez shouldn't be starting, and yet again, he's in the starting lineup, does fucking nothing. Even Aude was fresh yet. Memo Rodriguez, he was like, dude, fucking move. Like, Aude was trying to like play balls down the line. Memo's fat ass would just stand like out the way. It's like, dude, move. Like, Memo's the most unproductive player I've ever seen. Boyd is not Grand Seer. He tries to do too many things, tries to dribble through too many people, loses the ball too much, doesn't have good ball control. I mean, this attack is so weak. It can't compete against MLS level teams. This attack really is just a bunch of bums.
I will say this though. Number one, I agree that Chicharito's not been productive, but he's not fat. First
He
of
looks
all,
out of he looks out of shape,
have
very
you
out of
seen
shape.
his body? Like, I will just say
Okay,
that. I
maybe not fat, but out of shape and slow moving and just kind of clumsy and just wobbly overall. Just
Okay,
not
I
right
I guess he's not in the.
athlete shape. Maybe
Yeah,
not
I
fat compared to like the person on the street, but he looks just out of shape.
I get you. I get what you're trying to say, but yeah, but other than that, I agree. But I will say this about the offense too: they don't take their chances that they do, and they're not as effective on like some of their options that they do. Like, I will say this about Tyler Boyd: I don't know if they hate him. I don't know if he's an asshole behind the scenes. I think he's a great guy. I've met him before. I think he's great.
Oh, really?
Well, like, I took a picture with him, but anyway, but still though, I think he was a good person. But like, I don't know if he's an asshole, but there was like 3, 4 times where Tyler Boyd was just by himself, could have made a play, just if you did one simple pass to him. Like, I don't know what's the deal with that. I don't know if, and again, it's like, we kind of talk about Ricky like having this great vision and finding the players, and like, there was points where Ricky had him wide open and he just didn't do it.
Bro saw memo open too and said fuck no to that.
There was a couple chances where Memo had chances too, and it's like, listen, I get it. Like, maybe these aren't the best players, but if they're open, go for it, dude. Like, I don't know what you're doing, but
Memo would probably mess up anyways though.
it's still a chance. It's still an opportunity to get something, and you got to take those chances because you never know, right?
I do know they're gonna mess it up.
But regardless, though, it's like you still got to do it. Hey, you want him to play better? Maybe
Yeah,
give him
you
the ball
got.
and try to let him do something at some point. I'm
I
not
mean,
saying
sure.
give him the ball every time. I'm just saying, you know, like if there's a chance, just take it. Also, by the way, just a side note: if I am laggy in this video, I apologize, because like it is I don't know, but right now on my screen I look like delayed. I don't know if that looks like it to you.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So I do apologize if I do look a little bit delayed, because I don't know. Just a side note, just I am using my phone, I guess, as a camera, and I guess it does have some type of delay. But anyways, that's just a random side note. But point is to the game, um, that like again, offense don't take their chances either when they have good opportunities, and it's like I don't know, like, and it's not just Tyler Boyd. I just used him as an example because he had a lot of chances where like, hey, he probably could have made some sort of play, but again, I don't know, like sometimes this team just doesn't do the right things either, and that's frustrating too.
Do you think Memo played like shit?
I don't know if he played like.
He
Well, then
did.
again, I will say that I didn't watch the entire game because I was getting ready to do some things, but I don't think he played terrible. But obviously he wasn't effective. If that makes sense, I guess.
Alde was getting really frustrated at him because Alde was just getting trapped and he wanted to play the ball down the line, and Memo's ass was just hiding somewhere or not just receiving the ball, not in the correct position. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating to watch because I can see it too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This team obviously has its problems, and
Does it?
I mean, I mean, it really just it's frustrating. It really is, and as I guess us creating content and things like that, and just us coming on the pod, I guess speaking about the same thing over and over again, it's frustrating. It's just you know, I don't know. It really is. I really sometimes I have just no words for it because it's just why say anything when it's right there. It's like the situation is right there, the product's right there. Like there's nothing more you could really elaborate on it other than just saying it's a big old piece of dog shit.
Are you ready to say Chicharito is finished? I mean, he looks like a slug out there.
I we did talk about this too because I always say that
You defend him a lot.
well yeah I do because he's one of my favorite players growing up, but also like I will say like there's times where he finds his way, but even then this he hasn't found it. Like I don't know if he is gonna find it because you
He
know
looks so
it
sloppy compared to the last 2 seasons, just sloppy overall in everything he does.
it is. And again, it isn't about like, oh, it's him coming off an injury. It's like, well, he's already been playing for like about like a good what month and a half already. It's like,
Oh yeah, well over that. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like, at this point, what are we, what is he trying to figure out? And again, it could be offense, and because the whole offense in general sucks, but you know,
Well, the defense sucks too if they're letting in 3 goals a game.
I mean, how do you do that in 9 minutes, dude?
I know.
Like
That's shit.
like I
It
said,
sucks
like,
because
oh, go ahead.
yeah, I said this back line is really talented, but the problem is with this back line is they're gonna need time to grow. Is like the oldest member of this back line, like not including the goalkeeper, is Martin Casares, and he came in the summertime. Other than that, all these players are brand new to the team. It's gonna take time to build that chemistry in the back line. So I can't really bash the back line as much as I can the offense, but the back line, I mean, just has its moments of playing well. You can see the talent in it, then just completely collapses. We have a lot of young players in that group, and they just fall apart at any given moment.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean that's just really much it, right? But again, it still amazes me. 9 minutes. It's like not a game. Not you didn't they didn't score you. They didn't score 3 goals on you within the entirety of the game. Not even entirety of a half. Entirety of 9 minutes. It's like,
They
and again,
quit.
young defense, but at the same time, it's like that's unacceptable.
Bro, they quit. I'm telling you, they just quit. No other way around it. They gave up, they quit, and they realized who they are.
Yeah, I mean, this is an emotional team. They've always have been an emotional team. Even last year, that you had these instances, but now it's really showing that hey, like you know, you guys don't want to put any sort of fight once you're down. It's like, yeah, I mean, but overall, just in general, those two games were just big disappointments, and hopefully, I don't know, it it changes, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this, man, but I really think we need Douglas Costa back. Like, there's no other way around it. You know how unreliable he is, but like, we just need an attacker. Like, we can't score at all. And I feel like Douglas Costa is our only solution, really. I mean, what else could we really go to?
I really don't think it makes a difference.
Would it help a little bit though that you have a guy that at least can like have a shot, take a set piece, like just a little bit? I mean, obviously he's super unreliable, but even if he's on the field, like would that help a little bit?
I really don't think it makes a difference if he's on or not.
Not a difference like in the season turning it around, but like a difference at least in the offense being like not completely just irrelevant.
I guess, but unless he's scoring goals, I think that like because unless he's making some sort of goal contribution, then of course, like yeah, like that's fine. But we haven't seen that at all. So I don't know if I don't know if there's. I just don't see it being a difference either. To be honest.
Yeah, to be honest, he's never gonna play anyway, so I guess it's not really worth talking about.
No, it really isn't. Honestly, that was kind of a bit of surprise when you just mentioned that. I was like, whoa, like it's like we're talking about Douglas Costa now. Like,
I mean, maybe better than Memo, giving us absolutely nothing
oh,
all
I mean,
season.
I think so, yeah, but like also like
Like if he comes back, I don't know.
yeah, but I just don't see. I don't see it being any bit of any more of a difference, I guess. But I don't know.
That's who AG is, putting their funds into bad DPs, like always.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I think that's another thing that we kind of forgot to touch upon. The contracts were released earlier this week, and
Yeah.
yeah, that was
Well,
interesting.
some were worse than others, but there was a fair show of wow.
I mean, I think the biggest part about it was that we're paying. I think we're the highest payroll, and we're dead last in the league. So,
Well, the first league in payroll is also pretty dog shit in their own right, Toronto FC. So I guess we share something in common.
well, I guess so, but at least they're not literally last place. Like we're in last place. Like that's
Well,
just.
they're last in their conference though. So
But
we're
we're
last in the league. Yeah,
yeah, we're last in the league. That's regardless though, we're paying a lot of money and we're crap. So
yeah.
I mean, I don't really want to go deep down in those contracts because like I said, some of them are getting overpaid, some of them, I don't know, just the list is out there. You guys can go look it up. But yeah, point is we're paying a lot of money and we're shit. So
Very shit.
that's that's the gist of it. Um, but anyways, did you have anything else to say about the our two games, or do you think we should move on into our preview now?
I mean, it's pretty much just shocking. Like, how many road games have we played this year? 8 games, I think, or 7 games on the road. Either way, like even if it's 7 or 8 games, I'm not sure. I know it's one of the two. We've scored 1 goal on the road this year. Like the other 6 or 7 games, shut out. That is so bad, man. Like I can't even put that into words. Like 7 or 8 road games, you got shut out in every road game but 1 goal. Like that's it.
Yeah, like I mean, there's no other way to put it.
It's
It's
weak.
terrible. It's
It's
bad.
weak,
It's
and
weak.
we're conceding goals easily in a young back line. I mean, it's awful.
Yeah,
No depth either. No tactics. Just it's broken. I don't even think Klein out. I said this in the comment section. I don't think Klein out can fix this. I mean, it's taken so much abuse, so much damage. I don't think one figure is just gonna automatically fix this. I think it's gonna take years of repair and so many people gone.
yeah. I mean, but I think that's the point about it is like, would you rather see, this decline out and because I'm fine with a rebuilding as long as I guess this front office is changed.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that's the issue about people of like, oh, like I think people will realize that. Well, then again, there are some people who probably think that, oh, once Klein out, everything will be better,
That's what
back
so
to
many people
normal.
think that. Like so many people think like, oh, once Klein's out, then like, oh, we're the 2014 Galaxy again, the 2012 Galaxy again. It's like, no, not at all.
Yeah, that's far from the truth. Obviously, if once that like a figure like that is out, it's gonna take years, right?
Years,
you
yeah.
know it would be more of a surprise if it takes less than what it should be, but it'll take a good amount of time, and that's just in general in sports, right? Once somebody fires a GM, once somebody fires their like head office or somebody from the front office, or hell, like even an owner, like there's been few teams out in sports who are selling teams, and right now they're not you know, even with their new owners, it's not like they're great already, So it's like still like I think people need to realize that that's also a thing. It's that it's gonna take some time. But of course, I think, having him out would be the ideal situation, I guess.
Obviously Klein is horrible, but I feel like in the Galaxy community, he gets more power than he actually has. Like there's so many people bad at their jobs in so many different positions. It's like Klein gets like all of the attention. He deserves a lot of it, but like people give him like more power than he actually has.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I guess in some aspects of it, yeah. Um but regardless, I think we should go into our preview for Tuesday because that's what we got to talk about. And unless you have anything else to say.
No, about that, that's pretty much it.
All right then. But anyways, let's go into our preview on Tuesday for the U.S. Open Cup. We take on LAFC this week at BMO Stadium. Of course, LAFC right now are look like to be the favorites to go back to back at least. as of right now. And they also went against San Jose with like a rotated squad, and they still somehow managed to beat them. So even if LAFC goes into this week rotated because of CCL and other games, I really don't see the Galaxy winning this one. Like I think it's going to be, it's the only tournament where I think that we might have a chance to win at something, but at the same time, I don't really see them beating this team right now. I just don't.
I mean, yeah, neither do I. I mean, LAFC is a very good team. No matter who they have on the field, they're going to come out ready to play and prepared. And I just can't see us matching that at all. Like with the way we're playing right now, I just feel like they're just going to blow us out pretty much.
Yeah, I don't see it either. But anyways, yeah, like I just don't see it. And you know, it again, El Trafico, whatever, we should be hyped, whatever, but it's like you don't feel the
No,
hype in it.
it's not a
There's no hype.
rivalry right now. There's no rivalry right now.
Yeah, it really is no rivalry right now, and that's the bad part about it. Um, but yeah, I mean, just really like this team is. It's kind of hard to like root for this team where it's like, oh, you know, like we kind of expect what this team is now. Like this is really at the point who they are, I guess. And that's terrible. Like I try to be the optimistic one around here, but it's kind of hard being optimistic when it's all right there and there's really nothing that's going to change. But yeah, I mean, I really don't think like I think honestly, LAFC is one of those teams that could probably roll in with their B team and beat us. Like I really do think that they can do
Especially at
that
home
because
too. Like they have a great home field advantage. The fans are going to probably show up to that game. It's a big game for them. So yeah, I mean, I can't see it considering we've only scored one goal on the road all year. Like going into the toughest place to play probably in the league right now. I mean, how in the world are we going to get anything done?
yeah, I just don't see it either. Like it's really tough, and through thick and thin, we should always be there. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I don't see it. I really don't see it, and you know that I can't really go into this game because it's just I mean, I even with our full strength lineup, it's just not going to be anything different. It's just going to be the same thing. So I guess it is what it is.
Pretty much, yep.
Yeah.
The good thing is, if we suck in El Trafico this year, we'll have another 6 games next year to try to make it up. We get so many games there.
Which, by the way, we kind of mentioned this too. Like that was so rigged.
Oh, it was, yeah,
like
100%.
like they could not have waited for that opportunity. Like you could like I just don't get it. It's like it's like once that opportunity was right there, it's like, oh yeah, let's just fucking make this matchup right here and there. Like I know rigging is sort of a thing that kind of doesn't exist, but that felt so rigged. Like it just really did.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing that draw.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing. Like there's just no way. Um, but yeah, I don't really have much to say about LAFC than other than we probably won't have a good conversation. Hopefully they prove us wrong,
They
but
won't.
you
Let's be
know,
real. It's probably not going to happen.
but I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But yeah, we face LAFC Tuesday. Um, and yeah, that's just basically it. We face them on Tuesday. um, but any other things you want to say about it before we I guess we end it?
I mean, there's not really much to say. Just right now, it looked like a horrible team. There's no other way around it. And I mean, we say this every week. We hope it changes. It hasn't changed, but I guess we'll just keep going along with it.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, we hope for the best, as like I always say, but it hasn't really happened. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for the show. Can't thank you guys enough for watching, even if I'm lagging the entire time. Can't thank you guys enough for watching, or and listening. If you want to follow us on social media, follow me at Insider Galaxy on Instagram, on Twitter. Go follow LA Galaxy Central on Instagram, and yeah, go follow social medias, and be a friend, tell a friend about the podcast whenever you're listening to the podcast. And I hope you all have a great rest of your week, rest of your day, and whenever you're listening to this. So yeah, we can't thank you guys. Anything you want to say to listeners before we go?
No, I think that pretty much does it.
All right, then I guess we'll move on out. But anyways, thank you guys for listening and watching, and Jesus.
7 words speak.